As presented in the last chapter, the 12 zodiacal signs represent metaphoric dramas from the thought energy patterns of the collective unconscious as psychical expression in the three-dimensional realm. When David John Oates discovered the complementary backward speech patterns originally in the right brain hemisphere, which he called reverse speech, containing the metaphoric aspect to collective unconscious archetypes, a physical basis was proven for Jung's concept of synchronicity and ESP. Bohm, Heat, and Talbot's interconnectedness of reality as a whole. Von Franz's concept of matter being a mythical expression, telepathic, and Jane Roberts' Seth Worldwide Dream Network. So the backward speech thing, I don't know about any of that. I know that can be used for, I'm pretty sure that can be used for bad things, and they talk about it somehow, doesn't it like play into music? Certain music? Anyway, also Marie von Franz in Psyche and Matter presented Jung's concept of science and mathematics, which science is based on, religion, and fairy tales as being expressions of myths from the collective unconscious archetypes. The interpretation of fairy tales, von Franz describes how fairy tales offer the simplest and purest expression of the collective unconscious. The Brothers Grimm compiled 211 of these fairy tales in 1812, demonstrating archetypal dramas from the story of the Frog Prince to the Beam and their eternal appeal. Joseph Campbell in Transformations of Myth Through Time refers to a Pueblo Indian myth which is isomorphic with Jung's father archetype. And isn't this interesting? It is the wind, spiritus, the spirit we got in Chief Settle. That's an archetype, the recognition of breath as the breath of life. And later, again, in reference to Jung's father archetype, Campbell states, in most of the mythologies of the Indo-Europeans, the principal deities are those of the universal order. In Psyche and Matter, Marie von Franz clarifies and lists the Jungian component concepts of each of the four primary archetypes: mother, father, union, and self. The mother archetype symbolically represents the mother, the grandmother, stepmother, etc. It also symbolizes the concepts of salvation, paradise, the church, heaven and hell, etc. Father archetype represents father and authority figures, the mind, air, spirit, energy, movement, duality. The archetype of union represents structure, dynamics, periodicity, linear succession of images, any religious trinity, DNA, and RNA. This is fascinating. The archetype of the self represents a synthesis of the parts, i.e. the probably ones into, or eyes, into one individual, into the whole. Jung demonstrated that this archetype exhibited dynamic, sequential, quaternary structures isomorphic to the field of natural numbers. In reference to science being a product of myth, von Franz states, S. Sombersky, in his outstanding book, The Image of the Physical World in Antiquity, I'm going to note that, demonstrates in a detailed fashion that all basic themes of modern Western psychics are derived from the intuitive primal symbolic images of Greek natural philosophy. She continues, from these comes the idea of a single prime matter. For example, quest for unified field theory, out of which the entire visible cosmos is somehow constituted, as well as the idea of a conservation of the prime matter, i.e. the law of energy conservation. In other words, the concept of a universal energy, i.e. none in ancient Egypt, nada in India.